Hi everyone, welcome to our very first feature of Heal. Just a quick one to do an introduction, tell you what it is that we're trying to achieve with this page. The simple thing is that we are going to be doing a whole lot of interviews throughout our feature, once weekly, where we feature different healers from all walks of life. The focus mainly is on their specialty. As we know that all healers are gifted in various ways. So this channel is mainly about one thing and one thing only, to help people, assist people who seek help, call our healers on board to come and assist us with questions that our ordinary people have, and more than anything, destigmatize the whole thing of African healing. Over and above that, without many wasting time, today our very first guest is Gogo Tulas, Janchis. She practices in the Mid-Val area. Her speciality is in healing. In healing is both Western and African, which she's mostly deals with a whole lot of female-related healing. She's also an expert in public talks. She does a whole lot of public talks. It's going to be a 30-minute show today. As we know, most females are rushing to have their Mother's Days events. So unfortunately, they won't be reading for this one today, but you are more than welcome to drop in if you need to further speak to her. We can always share her numbers with you. Yeah, so let's start. She'll join us now. Good morning, Coco. How are you?
Thokoza mkhulu. I'm well, thanks. And how are you?
I can't complain, Coco, and happy Mother's Day again.
Thank you. And happy Mother's Day to everyone who's out there on all the pages. We love you, we adore you, we cherish you, and we celebrate you today.
All right, Coco, without wasting your time, further time, and just getting to the whole thing, but can you just brief for the purpose of this platform?
Can I lost you there. You said I must briefly do what?
Oh, sorry. If you can briefly introduce yourself to the viewers, who you are, who's Gogo Janchis, and everything else.
All right. Thokozani bantu abadala, thokozani makhosi, thokozani bantwana bethongo. I am Gogo Tulas, also known as Mkhulu Langa, Ingelosi Yamatongo. I am a person who comes from a background of psychosocial counseling and training and development. And I am based in Meyerton in the Val. And that's where I operate as a practicing traditional healer. And my specialization is on issues of fertility, womb care, gynecological issues, wellness, and general healing.
Thank you so much, Gogo, for that nice introduction. Unfortunately, some of us can't come to you because you are male, no gynae for us.
Oh,
so
I hear everyone, Kulu,
oh,
but
okay.
everyone has an area of specialization, but I've got male patients, panins actually, yeah.
Wow, nice. Glad to hear that, Gogo, because it's very important, and that's the reason why we are having these heal sessions, that we clarify and demystify the African healing, so that in the absence of us taking charge of educating our people, then bogus people don't take advantage of our people. So without any further waste of time, Gogo, we would like to engage on the topic of the day, that which is as headlined on our flyers. The toxic relationships. How do they affect people? And just break it down to us, Gogo, in an African way. That, for example, some of the things that happened that we found from some of the people doing the research before this was that the whole sexuality around not being faithful to one person, how that manifests, the spirits manifest to one person and to another. And then also just generally, how do toxic relationship affect us, and how do we get out of it, the both male and female? I will give over the platform to you now, Gogo, to educate us.
Thanks, Mkulu. Well, toxic energy, let alone sexual energy, is a huge challenge when it comes to our growth and our development as human beings, as abantu. This one of the reasons is because energy can be transferred. And that's why they always say abantu must always try and link to positive energies, positive personas, people that can be in alignment with you and your subconscious mind. So when it comes to toxic relationships, everyone automatically thinks sexual. But it's not necessarily only sexual toxic relationships that affect our psyche and that affect our consciousness and our energy. There's also toxic relationships in our family setups. We grow up with members of our families who are extremely toxic, extremely detrimental to our mental growth, to our emotional and physical health. And this then streams down from generation to generation where we feel inadequate, where we feel that we are not worthy, where we feel that we cannot succeed. It's because we are told that we are this instead of that. So affirmation is something that lacks in the Black community because most of the time you are not told, Motsepe, well done. Motsepe, congratulations. Motsepe, I'm proud of you. Motsepe, I believe in you. Most of the time, siyakuzwa. We're being reprimanded, we're being attacked, we're being sidelined, we're being rejected. So we grow up with this attitude and mentality that we are not worthy to be loved, that we are not worthy to success and growth and to be happy. And this filters down then to the next generation, which is abantwana bethu. So when you're talking
Sure.
about toxic relationships, I think we must then start at the foundation, which is the family foundation, the family set up. How were you brought up? What was the language that you heard every day? Was it a love language or it was a language of complete reprimand and isolation? Did you grow up being told that you are loved? Were you even hugged as a child? And this affects us in our adulthood where we feel we don't deserve relationships that are loving and caring and protective. It's because this has been planted in our mental box that you are not worthy to be loved. And that's one aspect that I wanted to touch on. And then you mentioned something about soul ties. Now, what happens when you move from partner to partner? We, as spiritual beings, we are energy. We are energy. In everything that we do, everything that we send out to the universe, we are energy. So now, what happens when you have had multiple partners and this partner comes to you, uza nezinto zakhe, uza nezichitho zakhe, uza nenkinga zakhe. And then as women, unfortunately, women are at the receiving end of izichitho mostly because we are like this. We are like this, bayaphokozela and siyakhongozela, meaning that we are receivers. We receive all of this toxicity into our system, into our soul, into our spirit. And this is why then kuvele umntu agule, and you don't know ukuthi ugula yini is because of soul ties. Mind you, you date someone not knowing ukuthi umuntu omkhalelayo ngasemva. Not knowing that umuntu ozohamba aye emntwini ayokubopha khona ukuthi the next relationship yakho ingabi successful. So this moves then from person to person, and this is what creates soul ties. It blocks our success, it blocks our energy, it blocks our growth, it affects our happiness, and most shockingly, it also affects our physical abilities. We become ill because of sexual soul ties, which are very damaging to each and every individual. And that's why, as healers, we do cleansing for soul ties, for isichitho, for isinyama, for izilwane ezilala nathi, because these are unfortunately mostly through relationships. Thokozani?
Thokoza Gogo, hey, you've said a mouthful. Again, I just wanna to engage you on two things before we open questions to our listeners, to our viewers at home, given the fact that you need to rush today. Gogo, how do basically the first one that you spoke about, how do we overcome ukuthi I grew up in a family where it's ngikhula nabo auntie, nabo gogo, no mama, yonke into, and there's competition among siblings, and as a result, I'm a victim of being told ukuba when I can't cool, you'll never, for example, you'll never amount to anything, ufana no tatako, and over and above that, you find that your parent, your mother in this regard, or father, they've had issues with your father, and then you're with their partner being your parent, and then they now iphumela kuwe leyo nto, and then over and above that, you find yourself, they can't even tell you who your father is or your mother is in that regard, yabon? And then also, just if you can break it down, how do the sexual ties affect progress yomuntu? And can you maybe give us maybe stats or anything or testament? You don't have to name your patients, as we respect that. How many people do come with this, and then how long does it take, so that our viewers understand the importance of being faithful, and then also how this everything affects one person at the end of the day.
Thokoza mkhulu. Let me just make this disclaimer also that abantu abadala sebekhona, so if you see me burping, you must
Thokoza. Bathini thetha siqala indaba zethu Gogo.
They like coming unannounced, these ones,
Yeah.
underground gang, but that they are also present. Mkhulu, there's something that we call generational cases.
Yes.
Generational cases, they mostly affect ukukhula komuntu in terms of finances and growth and stability, security. So generational cases are created mostly because word of mouth, lento bukhuluma ngayo umona womndeni, saying ukuthi hayibo abantwana bakabanibani abanoba successful, abanye abantwana behleli endlini, abanye abantwana abasebenzi, abanye abantwana abafundi, abanye abantwana bachatanga. So it's through the power of the tongue at first, before they even go bayomthakathini bayothakatha ubayokubopha okanye bakuvala izinto zakho, they first curse you with their mouth, and their attitude and the words that they utter to you, to the family, and to everyone that's connected to you. So generational curses zize zibangela ukuthi sisokole kakhulu, because okokuqala kuyazi ukuthi isukela kuphi. Zimpi zabantu abadala, which now ultimately affect you. It's like okhazini niyalwisana, but aniyazi ukuthi nilwelani kanye kanye isuke laphi lempi. The battles that we are automatically put in, and those battles are not ours. They are not ours. So to fix the family foundation, Nkulu, I would say it's important to start focusing on what is a spiritual attack on your family. Why are you not growing? Why are you not succeeding? Why are you always ill? Is there no progress in your life? And once we diagnose that as traditional healers, that's when we have a spiritual intervention for you in terms of fighting generational cases. And yes, mkhulu, iyakwazi uhamba istophe ngawe. If you stand up, you fight, you heal yourself, you heal your family, and you heal future generations, so that abantwana abalandela emva kwakho and future generations, they don't suffer like you did. They are not stuck in poverty like you did, because most of the time it affects our finances. Uzamale. But akonto ibonakala every time you feel like you're about to get your breakthrough and you're about to get your blessings, something intervenes because you have not fixed the generational line, the lineage, the spiritual lineage, in order for you to be able to stand on your own and ababaze emva kwakho bangasokoli. Thokozani?
Thokoza Gogo. I think you said. Sorry, Gogo?
Yeah. I wanted to go to your second element of your question. Right.
Okay.
Wazinjani see, you've got soul ties. How to, okay, it's not as complicated, but because you wanted an example, for an example, I've got a patient of mine who came through, who is a male, by the way, and he had worms coming out of his private parts. So isichitho sempethu. So every time he went to urinate, instead of urine coming out of his private part, it was worms, small worms. So this affected his self-esteem, his confidence. He was always smelling. Yazazi impethu zinuka njani. He was always smelling and he could not socialize with other people. It's because ufumane isichitho through sexual intercourse. And as isichitho, it seems it's multi-generational. Move from one person, so by the time sifika kuye sesikhulile, every time elala nomuntu, that's when it grows. So it's got a reflective effect. The more he sleeps with people, the more isichitho sikhula. So this is one of the alarming cases that I had that is a result of soul ties. So what they do normally, Mkulu, they would then take your underwear. Umuntu ojola naye, umuntu othandana naye, they'll take your underwear, they'll take your belt, and they'll take your socks. Bayahamba bayozibopha ezo zinto so that ungabi na success ebomini, kungabikho umuntu ukuthandayo. Every relationship that you get in, it will not last. Uyanuka, uba nephunga, even though when you think you smell properly normally, but every time you interact with a female or a partner, uvele unuke, ube nesidina, ube nesinyama. And then case was of severity because every time I echama kuphuma impethu. This is what witchcraft does to people. It blocks your everything and you feel stuck in life.
Gogo, I'm getting shivers where I'm sitting now with that description. We don't have any questions so far from our viewers, but we'll continue with the conversation. We'll just see if there's anybody asking questions. I think more than anything, everybody's just taking in what you've been saying, and there's clarity, and I guess that's why people are not asking questions. But obviously, they can more than welcome to answer later. Siyabona ukuthi umkhulu sekafikile lapho Gogo, but ke asiqhubeke. So Gogo, how one also thing that we spoke about on the flyer is on the topic today. It's as a result of everything else there comes depression, because
Yes.
as a male, when you grow up like we've described in that family environment where everybody else is telling you I'm going to amount to nothing, you then find yourself with a lady, or then you find yourself with that soul ties. And then how do you get out of it? How do you become a better person? How do you rise above the stigma, number one, of the soul ties, or the stigma of being told that you'll amount to nothing? How do you move forward? How do you conquer the world after having been told all these things?
Well, Mkulu, most of the time people are going out there looking for affirmation, looking for validation from other people. And my message to everyone is that you need to learn to be your own cheerleader. You need to learn to understand that you are uniquely created and there's no one like you. And it doesn't matter the world's perception of you, as long as you know who you are in terms of your identity, your culture, your values, ethics, and standards. That is what is important. So we need to start learning to be our own cheerleaders. You need to start learning to affirm yourself and understand whatever their view is of you, it does not mean that is who you are. You need to know what your destiny is, and to know that you need to be comfortable in your own skin. You need to love yourself the way that you are. You need to remind yourself that you are driven, you are blessed, you can be anything in life. There's nothing that you cannot achieve in life. So it starts with the mentality, your perception, your own mental view and attitude towards self. Because how do you then go out there and love others if you have not learned to love yourself? And what helps with depression, also aside from imithi neziwasho that we prescribe to people, it's meditation and prayer. Most of the time abantu abakhuleki abathandazi, and sometimes you just need to sit in stillness, say nothing, be in the moment, and understand that at times at times we lose our voices, but we don't lose our power and our strength, and the power lies within you always.
Wow, Gogo. Hey, you've said a mouthful. So, um, Gogo, I think one more thing before we let you go. I think we've got 5 minutes of your time. Just to wrap it up, and also just to ask one more question. You've also touched on the fact of fertility, that you do help females in terms of fertility and maybe male alike. Can you just touch on that one, Gogo, and then also how it gets affected by uh, spiritual ties?
Well, there are couples who are out there who are trying to conceive. They've tried everything. They've gone to Western doctors, fertility clinics, and every test result comes back and say you can have a child, or it comes back to say treat this fibroids. You treat them, but nothing improves. It's because there is a spiritual attack on the womb. And the spiritual attack ingena njani? Ingena through ukulala nesilwane. So when we are sleeping, animals, spiritual animals come and sleep with us. And that's why at times umama would feel ukuthi there's pain in her private area. Sometimes there is a funny discharge, a yellowish discharge, ebangela ukuthi angakwazi ukuconceive. And to the guy, kubakho itching on his private part. So most of the time, people don't know there's an alternative to into fertility, that we can intercede and intervene when someone cannot bear fruit. Akhonto ibuhlungu mkhulu being called names as a wife, ukuthi ulidlolo, you are this and that because you cannot have children. There are many reasons to this. It's because abantu bayasibopha, bayasivala, and isibeleko sivaleka lula than any other thing in the human body. So you can try to conceive and take fertility treatments and go to specialists, but if it's spiritual in nature, you need to go and consult a healer. Kukho abantu mkhulu abazelwe bengaphiwanga inzalo. I want to say this again. Kukho abantu abazelwe bengaphiwanga inzalo. But as healers who are specializing in this, siyakwazi uyocela amazulu abavulele, sibongoze, sishweleze, sizithobe kubantu abadala, sibacelele ukuthi isibeleko sivuleke sizokwazi ukuzala. Thokozani. So medically, this person cannot have a child, but spiritually we can intercede for lo muntu akwazi ukuba nengane ezizezakhe.
Thokoza Gogo, you've said a mouthful, and in the absence, I see you've said so much that. Okay, let me read a question. Gogo, ne? It's from Lesedi Libenya. It's Thokoza Gogo Ntate Motsepe. Do you perhaps know how to differentiate between a normal depression and depression yabantu abadala?
Yes, definitely. Abagogo nabomkhulu kuthiwa ngamahlanya. I'm not sure that mkhulu Motsepe you've heard that.
I've never heard it, Gogo. It's the first time today.
Yeah, kuthiwa singamahlanya. Do you know why they call us that?
I don't, Gogo.
Because when you are going through your spiritual awakening, you go through temporary insanity. You have panic attacks, you've got anxiety issues, you've got different kinds of depression, bipolar. If you check some of the healers that you follow, you can see the traits go to low, you know what, still needs to process the inner subconscious issues. Bipolar is one of the symptoms of spiritual awakening. So ingulo nobizo, it's one of the things that we unfortunately have to go through. So yes, definitely you can differentiate. We start talking and saying things that don't make sense. We see things ezingabonwayo ngabantu. We walk, and I had this all the time. I would wear my heels kutu ndipansi, and everyone thinks ukuthi usangena uyapambana, you're losing your mind, because when you abantu abadala xa befuna ubhodla bayazibonisa. So they've got this tendency of embarrassing us in front of people. You would be standing doing a board presentation, then idlozi liphakame, and then people will be scared of you because they think you're losing your mind. You are not losing your mind. It's called spiritual awakening. So yes, you can definitely differentiate between the two.
Thank you, Gogo. I think, okay, then there's a last one. From Umbrella, I hope I'm calling the name right. Ambrosia Ambro. Say now I broke the ties from my end, but the other partner is still hung up on the ties. Is there something I can do on my end to facilitate other person's ties to me?
That's why you constantly have to cleanse. Especially if you're a gifted person, you constantly have to cleanse, because lo muntu uhambisana naye akumazi uza nani, akumazi uthwele ini, uhamba nobani. So to protect yourself, you have to constantly cleanse. There are herbs neziwasho that you can use at home. Kukho imithi esibanika khona sibanika yona abantu for ungene ebhadini. I'm not sure if mkhulu you've heard. There are some spiritual interventions must umuntu ayongena ebhadini, but most importantly, we do take people to the river and the sea every 6 months, especially if you are a gifted person. Every 6 months, I would advise ukuthi uye emanzini, if ubizo lakho or abantu abadala ohamba nabo ngabasemanzini, so that uyokhipha yonke into emdaka nento esegazini nento esemoyeni. And then because unfortunately you cannot force African spirituality on your partner. You may believe it, abe yena engakholelwa. So to protect yourself, you need to be selfish and put you first before uncede the next person. And the only way to do that is for you to cleanse continuously, especially if you are a gifted person.
Amen. Gogo bathi Kamagu. I think I'm sure you have answered him. So yeah, I see I think they've all received well. Gogo, it's been good. I wish we could continue with this longer, but unfortunately to your commitments and other things, but we'll definitely do continue with the conversation, Gogo, at some point. Because most importantly, I think we touched on important issues that we left our viewers hanging in terms of moving forward is Washon and Tontoni. But more than anything, anybody who's interested in Gogo, Janchis, you can either contact me or her. She's also available on Facebook and any other thing. Yeah, so we'll continue with this, Gogo. We'll continue teaching our people. We'll continue making sure that people understand the difference between Western and African and where the two meet, so that the bigger picture here is to get to a point where all medical healers have got access to medical aid, except medical aid, Gogo.
Oh yes, that's a very important point. I've got a few minutes, Kulu. So if you take more questions, it's fine. We can
continue.
Take them.
Okay, Gogo. I see there's no. Yeah. I don't see any more questions, Gogo, because I think into yako ibetile. You know where. Yeah. So I think no, Gogo. Everybody's just saying thank you. You've put it. You know, when you give two people information overload, it's not easy for them to ask questions. But we are available. We are available for them to always ask later on, Gogo.
Yo, bafuna uthetha ingxaki bahlupha and bana-appointments.
Yeah. No, Gogo, we'll continue teaching our people. Every Sunday it's a date. We'll continue doing that. Next week we'll feature another Nkulu or Gogo. Watch the space, but Gogo will always be here around us, helping us, and here and there.
Thokoza mkhulu. Thank you for inviting me to be the very first healer to be part of this program. I will definitely be back, and hopefully we'll have more time next time, and people can follow me on my page, Spiritual Insights by Gogo Tulas, and we can connect there. Thokozani?
Thokoza Gogo, thank you so much, and again, happy Mother's Day.
Ndiyabulela bethu nana, ndiyabudlisa.
Okay, bye.
Those little ones are busy cooking for me right now. So
That's good.
Thokozani.
That's good. Thokoza Gogo. Okay.
Ndiyabulela.